this meeting in order. Call the roll.
Kinsey,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Loxton,
Here.
Turner.
Here. We have quorum. Next item is recognition of visitors. We've got Joe Don, we've got Eric, Marion, and Lisa. Okay. Next item is considering an action to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Have you had time to read them over? Or?
The minutes that are printed on the in front of everybody had a correction with regard to attendance. It looked like it was just a copy and paste mishap. They do have a correction. And
So these are not the correct minutes?
none of the minutes that were here when you got here, not the ones you brought with you.
These down here.
Yeah.
So are we doing
It
a
was,
different agenda?
From the meeting that you were absent, Dale, it still said that Kinsey acknowledged the visitors and whatnot, but you were here for the last meeting, and so
Okay.
So these are the correct ones.
I would move that we approve the corrected minutes.
Second.
Okay. Call the roll.
Parker,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Loxton,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
So is there a difference in the agenda? Or is it the same agenda?
The agenda should be the same.
Should be the same.
Okay. Okay, next item is city council report.
As far as city council is concerned, we've been having a number of committee meetings to kind of look at our progress at the end of basically the first quarter and as we move into mid-year. I don't really have the words. I know everybody's fully aware that we have a vacancy on our board now, and there'll be a position to reappoint. But before doing that, I don't know if it's appropriate or inappropriate or whatever, but I want to just stop. If we could just take a few minutes of silence and just remember Corey for all his contributions, not only to this airport, but to our entire community. And I just want to pause for a few minutes or seconds or whatever. It is, I guess, very sobering the nature of aviation and the what ifs and all that, and we're going to miss Corey a great deal. I hope that his family and everybody that knew him well and move forward, and I hope that we can find another person with a big heart and great passion for making our community great to come and join us out here at the airport. But to say replace Corey would be the wrong thing to say. So I don't have much other city council business to report. We will meet here in a couple weeks, or next week, and have a regular meeting. But I'll conclude my report. Happy to try to answer any questions anybody has.
you guys passed in council that ordinance for setting back funds for
We did.
capital improvements. Will that start showing up as a line item in our report, or is that just something that just kind of happens?
We'll include that in the next year's fiscal year budget. As we'll kind of play it by ear, if it looks like there's departmental funds available to set back as we go forward based on, if anything were to come up not expected for unbudgeted revenues, or if there were to be some significant savings from budgeted expenses, and we could look at those areas and see if those were options, whether it's the airport board or any other departments, look and see if there was an opportunity to get a head start on some of that savings. I'm going to call it a savings fund or whatever you want to call it, but it's not intended to be budgeted until the next fiscal year.
But either way, if it does show up, you'll see it as a line item, as a transfer out, the same as you do the stability fund.
Okay.
Anything else for the council?
That's all I have.
Okay, that's all. We'll go to the next item, manager's report.
Well, as you can tell, fuel sales in October were very strong. A lot of Jet A. Total sales were $20,008.87. You know, it was a big month for hunting. I think that has a lot to do with it. On the turf runway, I'll let you know that Woods County Conservation District was here on the 24th to seed the turf runway, the wheat. Excuse me. The new hangar, Brewer's leased hangar number 1, so the new hangar building is completely leased now for the time being. OG&E's been contacted about the lights. They've staked where they're to be placed, and we're just waiting for them to install. A few notes from the OAOA meeting. Walt Strong from Max Westheimer Airport in Norman is retiring in December. And Lance Lampkin will be stepping into his position. Lance is the assistant director. OAOA will be participating in the Women in Aviation Day at Wiley Post Airport on December 9th in the Atlantic hangar. Tickets are $15. This is a celebration of women pioneers and all women in aviation. The Aeronautics Commission announced that NASAO will be having its 2018 conference in Oklahoma City, September 22nd through the 26th at the Skirvin Hotel, with between 300 and 350 people attending. And that it had also hired a new engineer named Wayne Lusk. Stillwater Airport has hired a new assistant director named Paul Kriegel. And I was reassigned from the Southwest region to the Northwest region as a regional director. The Northwest region director accepted a position elsewhere. A couple of maintenance items. I filled in the excavation that was done around the drainage pipe. That being repaired, and I had to replace a bunch of bulbs on the wing tee and on the windsock also.
What's the NASAO?
National Association of State Aviation
Okay,
Officials.
I wasn't familiar with that acronym.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can understand
So,
One thing could you look out for, or I'd like to see, is I've had several pilots would like to see better lighting on the windsock.
okay.
I've looked just a little bit, and I know there's an internal lighting that lights down the center of the windsock to better illuminate it. Would you mind researching that a little bit?
Sure.
And seeing what maybe we can get as differently configured to the internal lighting.
It lights the sock up.
Yeah, it lights the socket up from the inside, makes it, the socket glow.
Yeah, that would definitely be better. I'll do some.
I've seen some pictures and it really shows up at night. And, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Anything else on the manager's report? Okay. Item 7, we'll go to it. Discussion and action on the approval and installation of new signage for airport entryways.
Corey and I had a chance to look at some options for the sign design. And this is what you have in front of you there. What we'd settled on, the silhouette of the small aircraft up top with the Alva and all of these fonts would be consistent. I don't know that what I have here in front of you is exactly the same as what the signs are on the highway. But it's close. But the actual font types will be exactly the same as what's on the existing signs. These, again, placement would be south of the main terminal driveway and north of the main terminal driveway on the right-of-way. Signposts would be, not sure if they are casting gold or not, Paul, but it's an expensive project. The pricing is consistent with what the wayfinding signage group spent on the signs throughout town. Again, the design was what we didn't vote last time. I mean, the consensus was the board would like to see a rendering of what the sign would look like. This is a proposal and is not a final, does not have to be final if you guys think it should look like something else.
I'd move for approval of this.
Okay, you're making another motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, call the roll.
Turner,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes. Next item, we'll go to item number 8, discussion and action on the approval of the fiscal year 2019-23 federal CIP plan.
Garber was out a couple of weeks ago, and we discussed the 5-year CIP. And working along the same plans as we've had in previous years, the next funding cycle would go to the taxiway and the design of the taxiway and the apron geometry expansion. The next 2 years would bank funds for the construction phase, which would be phase 2 of the taxiway apron geometry, with the 5th year being to install and repair the parallel taxiway A lighting. That lighting was disturbed during the construction of the finalization of the new runway, I believe. And that would be the 5-year plan. That's consistent pretty much with what we've done in the previous years. And just moving projects up.
These estimates they give, does that take into account of inflation over the next 3 or 4 years as best they can?
Yes, it does. I mean, they do have some price changes on there. Because originally the taxiway geometry and apron geometry was 1.5 million. And they've adjusted those figures down now to 1.3. So it's been adjusted down a little bit as a total project.
Who determined the priorities?
These priorities were established,
By,
I assume by the board, previous before me.
Pardon me?
I asked the previous meeting.
Yeah, they just carried over from what we, previous plans.
Or is that the one that you and Dale came up with?
No, we've had meetings on this before in previous years. And
Every
there's a
year.
Every year, and there's a list, and we vote on it and approve it.
That's it. Yes, I'm not.
So is this something that, we approve as presented, or do we have,
Well,
we need
we-
to throw some things, not throw some things, but are there projects that need to be included on here for years out that aren't?
I would, we have an extensive list of projects. I do not have that here. But I do have a list of projects that's pretty extensive that's slated for FAA fundings based on, I believe it's based on a needs list that FAA produces, if I'm not correct.
Okay. Well, I'm not, okay. One other question. If we've had this going on so long, we've approved this before? And we're gonna
We
approve this every year?
reevaluate it every year.
But we're reevaluating.
I remember last time it was reevaluated, we moved some order of like turf runway, what
Oh,
got.
See, turf runway
We
was
took the
on it,
turf one,
and
Yeah.
the South Share T hangers was on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, so based on what we decide to fund, what we need the FAA to fund, what we consider a priority, sometimes we reshuffle these.
So I'm not arguing with that
Right.
part of it. Then on the engineering, if we approve this tonight, are we committed to Garver?
We will have to do a needs assessment with Garver. We will either have to go back out for bid with Garver, go out for bid for engineers rather, or go out and have a reassessment done on their fees to ensure that they are charging us, the fees that they are charging us are reasonable.
What I was concerned with, okay?
We'll have to do one of the two. But we will have to do one of those this year. We will either have to have them, the last time we did it, we just went in and had the fees evaluated by an independent engineer to determine whether or not they were valid fees, if they were fair fees. We did not bid it out for engineering services.
Could we use, do you know if we can use the Aeronautics Commission engineer to kind of help us with if the fees that the engineering firms are charging are where they think they ought to be? Can we get another opinion besides ours? Maybe I'm not.
I'm not quite following. The opinion that we get will not be our opinion. We will have to hire a separate engineer to go out there and determine that opinion.
Okay.
It will not be based on my knowledge or Greg's knowledge or anybody else's. It will be a separate independent engineer that does that fee study.
I think what Terry is asking is the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission have an engineer that can evaluate that for us.
I do not think that they can. We can find out. I'm not sure.
I mean,
I'm unaware if they can, I'm unaware of it.
yeah,
We'll have to find out.
And I have another request. Could I get my bid packet sooner? I didn't get this till 5 o'clock today.
We are putting them together and getting them mailed out as quickly as possible.
I didn't see mine until 5:30 today.
And I
I
can't,
didn't get an email this week or last week or anything.
Well, I know that I sent 2 emails to you last week on it.
There's, nothing received in my inbox,
I-
or junk mail or
Yeah.
anything.
Well, I know I personally sent 2 to you, Dale.
Okay, I didn't receive it.
And we are getting them out and.
I would really like to have more time,
Well,
because I don't feel like I can do justice to
okay,
making a decision on some of this.
I understand, and like I said, we were getting them out as quickly as possible, as soon as we can get them out. The deadline would
Angelica
be
on November 9th.
Friday at 5 o'clock for us to get, we've gotta have it, the meeting posted by Friday at 5.
Why
That's the
can't-
deadline.
Can't we
Is that right?
deadline up to like
I checked-
Wednesday at 5
I
o'clock?
checked junk
So that we
and all
can
kinds of stuff.
have our
Didn't show up
packet
anymore.
prior to Monday or Saturday morning?
I'm gonna say,
We can work to try to do
She
that.
sent it.
Yeah,
I would-
okay.
I'm not gonna promise it though, because I mean,
I'd appreciate it, but like
Yeah.
this plan, if this has been around for 3 or 4 years, and it takes any time to run it off, I wouldn't. But
Well,
that's, I don't wanna beat a dead
What-
horse, but if you could, I would certainly appreciate it.
Can we have the airport manager deliver it to us?
yes.
And one other
That's
request,
available, you get it done on Friday?
Yeah.
You know, and we're all relatively close to the
so
airport.
this was done Thursday.
Yeah,
But
this
yeah, I
one was done Thursday.
I didn't get mine until, I'm kinda like Terry, you know, I really haven't had a chance to read.
Well, post office, mailed out, post office was closed on Friday,
I know,
but yeah, this agenda was done on
Yeah.
Thursday.
and considering our mail has to go to Oklahoma City and then back here, you know,
Yeah, they can be delivered.
and one other request, is there, do we not have the agenda posted on the airport instead of just at City Hall?
It should be posted out here.
It's not.
We can make sure that
I
happens.
would think that won't
I
be an
usually
issue.
post it, but I was not
Yes,
here
we got-
Friday.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
only time.
today's Monday. I mean, it wasn't posted this morning. Anyway, that's enough, but I
yeah,
would like to
we're
see
kinda
that.
getting off the
done.
subject, I think. We're on action and approval of fiscal year 2019 to 2023 federal CIP plan. I think one thing we need to think about is a crack seal on the taxiway, which is the old runway. I'm not sure that it'll last until 2021, which is, but anyway. I don't know if it's on the program down the road, the improvement program.
I'd
crack seal.
have to get that list out. I do not know where the crack ceiling, or if there's a crack ceiling
But it,
for that taxiway on the.
our taxiway's got some pretty big cracks in it.
Could we, maybe have a separate set of priorities that, all this is for federal grants,
Mhm.
is that correct?
This is federal grant funds,
Okay,
yes.
some of these smaller projects, like what you're talking about, we do that, we have the funds available to do some preventive maintenance, so I think we'll look into it.
Well, but if we can use federal grant money on it,
Oh,
and just have a matching, then, you know, it saves our,
is that in this plan?
well, that's what I was asking, whether it's
I didn't understand that.
whether it's in the future, well, we've got just till 2020 on our paper here.
Well, these, at the time that this, what you see on the list now, what's coming up now was decided on 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, and things have
And they're
changed.
just, and they just rotated up, right. And I can tell you the reason that the apron geometry thing that there was, is when we did the crack seal, if you remember when they came out and did the crack seal on that and fixed that, when they started getting into that, there was beginning to be some questions of, if I remember correctly, John, some failure within the concrete to be able to handle the jets and some of the traffic that we have in parking there. Plus, we're not set up to handle jets and small planes in a organized manner on the ramp we got.
True.
And so, but we had, remember at the time, we had pressing issues with water leakage at the hangar. We had several other issues that we felt that we really needed to address before we got to this. That was reason for it. So now this has come up to this point. We may need to reprioritize again, but we still, remember now, we've gone, I don't know, maybe you could say borrowed time, I don't know, but the assessment they did at the time was the concrete was failing out here. And the last thing we need is a multi-million-dollar jet
Falling through the concrete.
falling through the concrete.
Oh, yeah.
And so, just keep that in mind as we proceed, because we need to look at that, and then the ability to expand the ramp area out would give us the airport team a way to park the jets, away from the small aircraft, not to worry about jet blast,
Yeah.
FOD, and those types of things.
And part of this project would be to stripe off for different types of parking for
Yep,
different
identify,
planes.
yeah. So that's, if you want about history, that's where we're coming from, and that's where this is at. So I'm not saying that it's more important than anything else that we had, or anything like that, but it was a need, and it's still, I would still assess it as a need, because 5 years ago, when we did this, there were concerns about that concrete failing.
Yeah.
And approving this does not limit us from
Making changes.
making changes
Yeah.
down the road.
This just has to be turned into FAA every year.
Do you know what the deadline is on this?
It's coming up very quickly.
This month?
It'd be before we have another meeting.
Okay. So,
Typically, we find out just right before it's due.
Yeah.
so this 2019 plan, right, is this what you have right here, right?
That's what I have right now, yes.
And so, what you're doing, when we're approving this, Jerry, what we're doing is we're just approving that we're looking at doing the taxiway and geometry, and they have this sketch here. We don't necessarily have to stick with that exact design.
Okay.
That can be changed when we get into it, because they'll actually present drawings and everything to us, and we actually vote on it. What we're doing is we're presenting, this is the path we would like to follow, as it now stands.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. So we're saying over the next 4 years, we're going to be doing that. If we approve this, the taxiway and geometry, we're going to bank funds. Basically, we're not going to apply, use any other projects. Everything's going to be gathered to do this, and this is a $1.2 million project. And it's going to be take 4 years to do that, and then we're going to look at the taxiway lights after that. And then, that's because.
And then after that, we'll have several more years of things that will need to
Right,
be.
so then
Yeah.
things that's on the list below this start moving up, and we can reprioritize. We've already reprioritized in the past, like taking the South Share T hangers and fixing that on our own. Taking the turf runway off of this list and doing that on our own. And so that's how other things get bumped up. So we've done it, it's a, how do we say it, it's a continually morphing plan, but it gives the FAA an idea of what we're looking at.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Does that kind of make
Yes,
sense?
right.
So if you approve something tonight, you're not setting concrete on this design.
That's what I was concerned.
Or these are estimates of expenses, so that the FAA can be looking at what we're gonna be asking for money-wise. This tells Barber, the city, and the FAA, this is what we're thinking about doing the next 5 years.
Okay.
That, am I wrong?
No, that's right.
Oh, you clarified it for me.
Gives them the warm fuzzies that we're being good stewards of funds that is available to us.
And I understand you're not being comfortable about not getting your pag in time to look at this, but I would have no qualms approving this tonight, because I know based on past history, when we start getting into these projects, that's when we get into the nuts and bolts of how much something costs, what we're spending money on, the contracts, how they go out, and all that.
All the
That's-
specs, all
that's
the
all you have to
designs,
cover.
all of those will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would make a motion that we approve the CIP as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second, call the roll.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes. With that complete, we'll go to item 9, remarks and inquiries by airport board members.
Where are we at on the ending and the maintenance one? So we're gonna get new quotes or specs?
deployment?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still working on this,
Okay.
what needs to be done.
All right.
I'd like to bring up again, if there isn't some way we could get a snack machine and maybe a Coke machine. I had pilots ask me about it, and we're competing with not too many airports, but some other airports, and sometimes those things can be a tiebreaker. If I was coming in, I could get a Coke at Woodward, but I couldn't get one in Alva. Not that much further. I think there would be some way we used to have a Coke machine, and I'd like to see, some kind of snacks, maybe just, something with trail mix. But it'll be all, I think it'd be a service. I think it would help.
Would you mind researching into that and see what you can come up
Well,
with?
I do know the reason that they removed the Coke machine was that it didn't sell enough to pay for their permit costs.
Well,
They
why
were
don't we
actually
just
losing money.
get our own then, if they're not, they can't make enough money off of it, let's buy our own and stock our own.
We still have to pay the coin operation license, which probably, it would make more sense if we just bought some soda and stuck in the fridge out here and you gave it away. Is it that,
Well, okay, I'm for anything and some of these little salt snack things.
I mean, we can buy it and have it operate by it, kind of like we do the gym and operate a concession center out here. But that's what the gym, that's what we do at the rec center.
Yeah, buy it.
Basically just we buy our Cokes, we buy our candy, we buy our snacks, it sits out here and operate the inside here like it's a concession stand.
Okay.
I mean, that's a possibility.
I would like to see us do something like that. I think it would
nothing
be a
wrong with that?
benefit.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from the board members? If not, we'll go to the next item, remarks and inquiries by citizens.
Well, first of all, if you go over to Woodward, they've got a refrigerator, they've got a list of prices that they've got taped to their refrigerator, and they've got a coffee can sitting on the top of it. And you go get a water, get a pop, get a candy bar, whatever you want, you put the money in the coffee can and you leave. Simple as that. And there's tons of airports between here and Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or South Carolina, or North Carolina, that do the exact same thing. You're not really making much of a profit off of it, but I kind of agree with Terry as far as offering something to drink. It's kind of a pain in the butt to go get in a courtesy car and go get something at the Quick Trip when you can just do a quick turn, get you a pop and a candy bar, and get in the air. That's all I got.
I have one question, if you're still researching the other signs for the airport, authorized traffic.
Okay.
Was that approved?
We approved
or-
those.
Okay.
I thought so.
Okay. Any other inquiries by the citizens? Or remarks? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.